request that's in my WhatsApp message, and it open it for me. I don't have to freak out because it's a new app opening. But then we also did it for their online banking, so that they could check whether their pensions and stuff went in. So those were literally the only, besides their WhatsApp that they were using, we did it with 2 other apps. We didn't teach them, because for them they were older, we didn't teach them the email or anything yet. We taught them the messaging, we taught them how to navigate and find their way, and then we taught them how to check on their finances. And what we found was after about a month, they came in and they said, what do I do? What else can I do? Can I read the news? Can I watch stuff on this? Like, how do I do that? And so I think finding what that different user journey is, like you said, might help with the motivation to learn other things. So more opportunistic growth mindset kind of view versus also taking and understanding the fears to help identify what the drivers and motivations might be would be a really great partnership to work on together.
I love it. That's what I wanted to happen today. Coalitions, collaborations is fantastic. We're all concerned about the future of work. How can we address concerns that potential job displacement caused by AI? How can we address those and ensure a just transition for affected workers?
Okay, everyone's looking at me, so I guess I'm gonna go first. Listen, one of the really popular slides that we use in a lot of our Google decks talks about the different revolutions that we've had in the past. We had the Industrial Revolution, we had the Electronic Revolution, we had the Manufacturing Revolution. And so for a person who, I have a very differing view on some of these things as a person who touches the ones and zeros, because the reality of the situation that we're in, even with generative AI, even though it is able to technically take on new and novel tasks that it hasn't seen before, it is still compressed mathematical understanding by imposing patterns on the world around us. It is just compressed math at the end of the day. It is not super intelligent. It does not contain even generative. It only contains what we give it. And so when we start thinking about some of the bias pieces, what I think is so interesting that we're going through collectively as a human race right now is we're discovering the ugly and the beautiful parts of how we think, because these models are trained on data from the internet, right? So this is a mirror looking right back at us and going, what do you say, right? Are you reckoning with this today, right? And so some of those adjustments that we make as a result, I think and this is strange because I'm typically very much a pessimist, but I think that every opportunity, every instance or security breach or example that you gave us is an opportunity to turn it on its head and go, how this problem exists, how do we solve it? Cyberbullying has been around for as long as the internet has been around, and prior to the internet being around, right, I was getting kicked around on the playground too, because I'm mixed, right? And in Egypt, that has a whole other implication if you're mixed, right? So it's not something new, it's just amplifying the older problems that we already knew existed, right? But when we talk about, I'm sorry, what was the original question?
This is what I wanted. Thank you. I love it. Job creation.
The jobs displacement. Okay. So jobs displacement. Listen, if anyone watched the NVIDIA keynote, or if anyone missed the keynote, go watch the 5-minute recap video that's on YouTube. Because here was the takeaway from the CEO's message. Nobody should have to learn how to code in the future of tech, right? If it is complicated, the opportunity that I think every single person here should consider is, how do I make it simpler? Even if you don't understand it, that fresh new perspective that you bring to people, and I kind of get to straddle both sides of the fence here a little bit. Being a self-taught machine learning engineer, right? There are lots of things and intricacies and theories that I just don't know as well as the next person does. But because I don't know them so well and I'm not so in the weeds, I can look at a system and say, hey, couldn't we simplify it using X, Y, and Z, or maybe using 3 models right next to each other instead of just one, and trying to tackle this behemoth problem with this massive model, right? And sometimes it can bring some interesting perspective. What the NVIDIA CEO specifically mentioned is the future of work insofar as workforce development and generative AI. The knowledge holders, the knowledge stakeholders, the knowledge skill workers, you are the magic. It's whether you learn how to harness the AI system for your needs, to automate the mundane, the hard, the toil, to free up your mind to do the things you really want to do. That's your opportunity. Some people will pass on it and they'll miss it. And some people will jump on it. And the most common question I get is, well, how do I jump on it, Amina? And how do I keep up with it? The first thing I tell you is you're not gonna keep up with it. Don't try. Stop trying right now, right? Okay? It's a wave and it's crashing hard, and we're looking at something like 300 plus research papers we're having to ingest somehow as specialists at Google on a weekly basis just on the subject of prompt engineering, right? This is overwhelming what's happening right now. And so do the best you can and just get started. Just put your feet in the water and go, and you're gonna figure out really quick what direction belongs to you. But if you don't get your hands dirty, you're not gonna know. So that's hopefully answering the original question that I already kind of forgot.
Yes.